Hey everyone, and welcome to a special Tuesday episode of PCCS's EmPower Hour. My name is Alyssa D'Augusto.
I'm Kevin Roman.
And we're here today, again, on a special Tuesday episode of our EmPower Hour with our intake and benefits specialist here at PCCS, Lucia Rossi.
Hi,
Welcome,
Lucia.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm good, thank you. I'm ready to do this.
Right.
Love it. So for our viewers who are watching, we do want to say this is our last episode of season 2. So we wanted to make it a good one, kind of talk about what PCCS is for those who are new, kind of interested in what we do and want to know more. So we have the right person here. We have Miss Lucia. So Lucia, can you introduce yourself, kind of telling us about who you are and what your role at PCCS is?
Yeah, so I'm Lucia. I'm the intake and benefits specialist at PCCS. So I'm the person who you contact first to get to know services, to learn about enrollments, what are the programs like, answering your questions. That's me.
Awesome. So you're like the go-to. You're like the central hub to say, like, hey, I don't know what I need. I need you to figure it out for me.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So today you're here to kind of go through a little bit about the supports and services that we do have available and kind of like any pressing questions that people might have when it comes to services, whether it be how to acquire your waiver, how to get enrolled in a program that PCCS or any other agency really offers. Correct?
Yeah, and especially focusing on what do all these terms in this community mean? Like we hear them a lot, and parents, may have heard them, but are too, afraid to ask. So I'm here to explain all the basics to everyone. What are these services? What do they mean? What are these terms I need to know? How do I get started? Are these processes like? That's what I'm here for.
And we're so glad to have you. So with that said, I'm going to pull up somehow with my magic tech wizardry here our PowerPoint presentation. Let me know if we can see it. Yes, we can. Fantastic.
Beautiful.
So Lucia, please take it away. And for our viewers, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments and we will be sure to acknowledge it.
All right, awesome. So, I've already introduced myself, but here's a little bit more about me. So I oversee all the intakes and enrollments. I've worked with PCCS for about a year now. I've done 4 years in the field. I have my master's in social work from the College of Staten Island. And fun fact, I worked 5 jobs while in college. Whew. And I still work 2 now, yeah. So at the bottom of the screen there, I have my email. So if anybody has any questions, please shoot me an email. I will answer real quick, okay? Next slide, please. Good. Awesome. Okay, so the big question, how do I receive services? Like, where do I start? So firstly, we've got to know the basics of where do the services come from? Who pays for them? So that starts with OPWDD. So OPWDD is the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities. That's the office in New York State that fronts the process of getting services and Medicaid and all these different things we're going to talk about. But if you don't already have services for the person you care for who has developmental disabilities, that's where to start. OPWDD has something they call the front door system or process, which is the process where someone enrolls in the waiver to pay for services, to get services, and among other things, which I'm going to explain. So that process will guide you to figure out if you're eligible for services. And you would also get in contact with your local DDRO or Developmental Disabilities Regional Office, which every borough has one, Staten Island has one. And that's where the front door process happens. That's where you start. And what do you need to qualify? Like when people say developmental disabilities, what does that mean? So getting down to real basics here. And I have a lot of people ask me this all the time. like, okay, what does that mean? So developmental disabilities means intellectual disability, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, neurological impairments, autism, familial, I cannot say this word, dysautonomia. I'm sorry, I butchered that. Prader-Willi syndrome. Okay, so those are the definitions that OPWDD uses to classify developmental disabilities. And where do you begin? There's phone numbers there I put for your convenience to contact so you can get started on your application there. Next slide, please. So next, okay, getting waiver services. You probably heard this term a lot. So this is funded by Medicaid. It's OPWD's largest Medicaid program. It's the home and community-based services waiver. That's a fancy long term for all the services that OPWDD offers for people with developmental disabilities. So you have to fill out an application, and certain questions I get a lot that I threw in here in the presentation is there's no particular age limit to applying for services, but you should do it as soon as possible. Like as soon as your child like is young, very young, and you're noticing like signs or anything peculiar and you want to get it checked out, get it evaluated, that could start very young. But they say OPWDD suggests trying to apply before the age of 22 because after that it can be difficult. And also something I hear often is like, oh, but like my family makes a lot of money. How would we apply? How do we qualify for Medicaid? But Medicaid is for people with developmental disabilities. What the family makes doesn't matter. It's not always considered. So a child with a developmental disability still qualifies for Medicaid regardless. And to gain OPWD services in general, what do you need to have? So you need to have the developmental disability, and they will review you to see if the person's eligible. You also need to be eligible for Medicaid. Medicaid is what pays for the services. And the HCBS waiver we mentioned earlier. And I put some more phone numbers there for families if they want to contact OPWDD and get their questions answered. But you can also contact me and I'll help you out as best I can also. Next slide.
For sure. We'll definitely be sure at the end of this Facebook Live show to share Lucia's contact info. So if anything at any given point, anyone has any questions, by all means, Lucia will be the person to contact.
Yeah, and I'm there's a lot to learn with Medicaid, and Medicaid and OPWD is a lot, and I am still learning myself. So if you have any questions, I will for sure investigate that for you and get back to you. And when it comes to receiving services, again, you also get care management and a care manager. So what is care management? It's a service that coordinates your services for you. So that's through a care coordination organization. And your care manager is the person that oversees your services, helps you connect you with things like us. The care managers connect with me and to get you enrolled in our services. And when it comes to care management agencies, there are multiple to pick from on Staten Island. Are the most popular I see is Advanced Care Alliance, Care Design, and Tri-County Care. So if you don't like one, you can go to another one. You shop around, figure out what you like, and a person that could help you with your services. So next we have service providers. What is that? Who are they? We are, PCCS is. So that's who we are. We're a service provider, and there are many like us on Staten Island. You don't have to go with just us. You can get multiple services from different agencies at the same time. We encourage you to do your shopping. Shop around for services. Because like sometimes maybe we don't have something you're looking for in particular. Maybe another agency does. Maybe they do things differently. Or maybe we do. So what's out there? There's other organizations and agencies like On Your Mark, A Very Special Place, Community Resources, AHRC, Lifestyles for the Disabled, Grace Foundation, Eden 2, Adapt, JCC, and more. So there are plenty of options out there for you to look into to find the services that you need. Next. Okay, so Documentation. You don't have to worry about this so much. This looks like a lot because it is, but this is my job, so you don't have to worry about that. Whenever you apply for new services, I ask your care manager for different documentation. So that so when I get approval from the state, this is what they ask for. They might ask for an NOD or a notice of decision, an LOC, a level of care eligibility determination form, your life plan. Life plans is something you'll get very familiar with as caregivers, because your care manager will have meetings with you and the person you love to discuss all the things that the person wants in their life. What do they want to work on? What do they want to accomplish? And what agencies do they want to work with? And what goals do they have in mind? And they put that in the life plan. It has everything about that person there. That is super important. For enrollments, they might also ask for psychological and psychosocial evaluations. I might ask for a SARF, which is to change, like what we use to change and get services. You might ask to get an annual physical. We might ask for a copy of your Medicaid card. All these different forms and things that are involved in the process are here. And it's good to know, to get familiar with, because you might hear the terminology, but it's mostly my job, not yours, don't worry. Next slide. Okay, so who is PCCS? Kevin and Alyssa know.
Yay.
Yay. So our mission is to create a social change within communities for people with disabilities who are searching for identity and acceptance. We believe in person-centered care, and so do care managers. They do too. And what does that mean? What is that? So person-centered care means that everything we do is tailored to the person's needs, their wants, their goals, everything that they want to accomplish. That's what we focus on. It's every person is different, and like no service is one size fits all. So everything is customizable to that person. So our core values are support, equity, and acceptance. And we believe in reconfiguring humankind. Next slide, please. Okay, so to begin, there are services that are for people who are above 18 and below 18. FET, or Family Education and Training, is one of those services that are for people who are below age 18. And it's really for caregivers. It's to provide educational resources to them. So say they want to learn more about adulthood, transitioning, or socializing, or advocacy and daily living skills, managing challenging behaviors, all these different topics they can learn about from FET. So they could either get a packet in the mail to read about it on their own, or we can schedule an online presentation and they can get a personal presentation to discuss these topics and learn about them. And this is also available for all 5 boroughs, which is really cool. And you can choose 2 topics a year to learn about. All right, now DAHAB. DAHAB is for people above age of 18. And during COVID, it's constantly changing. But right now, we basically have like 3 options for people. So we have virtual DAHAB going on for people who don't feel comfortable going out in the community yet. So these are online workshops through like a Google Classroom, where people can do worksheet packets together that are like educational and academic and focus on whatever skills they have. And like in groups of like 10 people or less. And they meet from like 10 a.m. to 2:30, 3 o'clock. They do these weekly packets together. I mean, online, it's really, I've been to it before, and it's really fun. It's a nice place to hang out and socialize. And there's plenty of breaks too. So it's a nice experience. We also have in-person services though now, which is great because a lot of people maybe can't sit on the laptop or the computer for hours on end. Maybe they need to be in person and do things hands-on. So we have our office open for small groups in DAHAB. And that's different from how it used to be. Before COVID, DAHAB was in the community. Because technically we are a without walls program, but right now we're kind of unofficially with walls. And the program also runs from like 10 a.m. to 2:30. And we also have day hab after hours if they want to stay until 5 o'clock. And that takes place at our office located at 150 Granite Avenue. So they do the same like academic or educational programs together, but in person, there's more freedom. So they could do a Zumba class, they could do a cooking class, they could do all kinds of fun things, maybe gardening outside. You know, a lot of different activities are available that way. But people have to wear a mask. That's a must. Following COVID regulations is really important unless the person has behavior or health issues that are preventing them from doing so. So before COVID, what was day hab like? Before COVID, day hab was in the community. It started out at 9 a.m. in the day. We picked people up in vans and they would go to volunteering work sites. They would go to like TJ Maxx or Marshalls. They could go to the bowling alley. They would go then to lunch and then a second work site or a recreational site. Maybe they want to hang out in the park after for the last part of the day. And then the vans would take them home. But right now, we're not doing the vans currently because of COVID regulations, but that will be changing soon. We're like slowly but surely we'll get that going again because a lot of people do need transportation and we understand that. But right now, this is how it is. And just so you know what it used to look like. Okay, so ComHab in lieu of day hab. This is really special. Like I've never seen this service in any other agency. And this is like both ComHab and day hab together, basically. So day hab, you know, they can attend program, but with ComHab, they have a one-on-one support. So they get the best of both worlds. They get one-on-one attention with staff and they can go to day hab if they want to, or if they don't want to, that's okay too. They can go do something else, go somewhere else. So they get the one-on-one support from their staff for whatever they need, behaviors or language or whatever. And then they can go out in the community and choose to do other activities. So I also added a note at the bottom because it's something I wanted to mention. For every program, people have the freedom to choose how often they want that service. So if the person doesn't want to attend day hab all 5 days, Monday through Friday, they don't have to. You can start out small, start out with a few days, and then work up to it if you like. Or you can do a mix of both if you want to go in person and do online some days. That's an option. Remember, everything is person-centered, so it's all customizable to what the person needs. And same thing with all the other programs as well, like ComHab, Respite, and all the ones I'm going to explain. A person gets to choose how many hours a week they want that service. And if they want more, we can get more. So just to give people an idea of how customizable this is. Next slide. Employment support. So there's a lot going on here. I don't even think this list covers everything. And it's not quite in order either. So typically, if someone just wants to work on their employment skills, they could do that with community-based pre-vocational. That's like the starting point for a lot of people. And it's not a time-centered program. It's however long, you know, the person needs. They could work on their resume. They could work on communication skills. They can work on managing and using money. They could work on all different types of employment skills there to prepare. And also a job coach could help them apply for a job, go to interviews with them. And then if they get a job, they could get into SEMP or supported employment. Now there's SEMP extended and SEMP intensive. So extended means like they have the job and the job coach can go with the shifts with them, help them with any situations at the job that they need help with, just be available for guidance. And intensive is when a person loses their job and they have a certain amount of time to get another one. And we would help with finding another job during that time. And then we also have the Pathways to Employment program. That is a 1-year program where people do 3 internships and get work experience, figure out what they want to do in their career. That's a popular program, but right now during COVID, you know, we kind of lost the connection with the community with Pathways right now because businesses don't want so many people around. But we're slowly but surely now starting to reconnect with local places in the community so people can have internships again. So that's in the works. But right now, community-based pre-vocational still is definitely happening, and SEMP is definitely happening. ETP, or Employment Training Program, that's another program that's available, but it's also in the young stages. We don't have many people in that yet. It's a program where the state could pay a business to hire someone for a certain amount of time, a certain amount of months, to encourage the business to hire the person after that time if they like them. And then there's also Access VR. Access VR, you don't actually need a developmental disability to be in Access VR. Access VR is not through EWDD, it's through the DOE. So that is for people who need very minimal support. Like they just need a push, they just need encouragement, and any other like minimal support. It's not very intensive as the other programs are. But that Access VR is good for people because it offers opportunity for higher level positions. Next slide. Okay, so we have the Individualized Residential Alternative, or IRAs, or as most people might know, group homes. So the people we support may not be ready to live on their own or prefer not to, so group homes is often an option. They live with roommates, and they have 24-hour supervision with direct support professionals who are there with them to help them with their goals while they live together. So, and PCCS in particular, we have 2 homes with 3 people living in each, but we do not have any vacancies. Sorry. Another living option, though, another popular option actually, is our housing rental subsidy program, which was previously known as ISS. So the housing rental subsidy program process is quite long. It's not short. It could take like a total of like 6 months more, depending how everything flows. But there's a number of like assessments and meetings and evaluations that need to happen in order to pass and like to get the subsidy. So if I could summarize it, I would initially give the person an info session to discuss the program, what it's like, what it entails. Also prepare the person for the clinical assessment, which assesses their like daily living skills. And after the info session, that would be scheduled, the clinical assessment, and they would show that what it's like to have these, different like daily living skills, how well they do them, in the case that they're living alone. And after that, we would, the HRS team would have a committee meeting to review and decide if we approve or deny the person. And then after that, if they get approved, we would then get the state approval and then go through the fun process of finding an apartment, getting furniture, all that. But this program in particular requires a lot of documentation in the beginning, I warn you. But it is helpful because who doesn't want to live on their own? It's independence, and it's a subsidy that it doesn't cover all of the rent. I tell you, the state expects you to pay a little bit, okay? So it doesn't cover everything, but it could be very helpful if someone wants to become independent. ComHab. So previously I was talking about HRS, and when living on your own, we expect people to get ComHab to assist them with anything they need in their living situation, whether it's money management or living skills or learning how to clean, learning how to cook, all these different things. ComHab does that. ComHab is a program that focuses on community inclusion, relationship building, independent skills, also like daily living skills, all the different things, depending on what the person needs and wants to work on. And it's worked by the direct support professionals. We have a meeting and intake where we discuss the goals for this program. And like all different goals include travel training, independent shopping, safety awareness, money management, socialization, again, depending on the person and what their needs are. And also the person can get this service as often as they need, however many hours they need during the week, and it's one-on-one service in person. Okay, in-home respite. So there are different types of respite that I've heard of. A lot of people ask me, oh, do you have overnight respite? And that's something we don't, unfortunately, provide right now, but we do provide in-home respite. So in-home respite is exactly what it sounds like. It's in the person's home. And respite is a service that provides temporary relief to the caregiver. There are no goals involved, but if, say, the person is a ComHab worker to the same person, they can continue working on goals if they'd like to. But for respite, it's not about goals. It's just relieving the caregiver, and the DSP would be with their loved one for however long the family needs. To, like, say if they need to run errands or help other people in their families with doing something, or just need some time to themselves. That's what the DSPs are there for respite. And there's no plan prescribed, as I mentioned, unless they're eligible for intensive respite. So that's the next slide. Intensive respite is relief to the caregiver, again, but for people who have high behavioral needs or high medical needs. So in this case, the enrollments would be the same, but we would have our clinical social worker do an evaluation to see where the person is at with these medical and behavioral needs. And then we could train staff to support on however the person needs support on those needs. And that way they could be taken care of in respite during that time. It's also helpful to know that we have a nurse on call for medical needs as well. But the person needs to be enrolled in respite prior. Okay, so this is a fun one. I'm excited about this. So this is relatively new. So this is the group activities hosted by community support. Some of us call it group ComHab or group community support. So it's a fun weekly virtual group that's for people who are enrolled in ComHab and respite on Zoom to do activities together, to just hang out and do fun things, which is great. So there's different age groups, as you can see. I put the schedule up on here. So Mondays is wrestling, Tuesdays is education prep and movie night, Wednesdays exercising and the cooking class or movement and music, Thursdays the movie club and arts and crafts, karaoke, Fridays is work readiness. But the person needs to be enrolled in ComHab or respite to get access to these groups. And we're always open to new ideas. So if anybody has any for some new groups, let me know and I'll tell the team. Okay, self-direction. Not gonna lie, I am still learning about self-direction. It is a lot. I may not get everything right with this. Great because there's so much flexibility and control for the family and the caregivers. And a lot of people want that when it comes to their services. It also covers more things that traditional services don't, which is an advantage, but there's a lot of responsibility involved. So that's like the downfall to it, is there's a lot of responsibility and a lot of hands-on work that's required. So through self-direction, services are paid for with funds from your personal resource account, a budget that is given to you by New York State. So a person does not need self-direction for all their services. You can still receive traditional and non-traditional services. So that's what self-direction can cover. Non-traditional services are like a music class, an art class, swimming, all these different fun activities that are great for people with disabilities to do out in the community, but it's not covered under traditional services like DayHab and ComHab and respite and et cetera. Let's see. Responsibilities include, but are not limited to, hiring staff, setting staff schedules, arranging for backup staff, training the staff, firing the staff, meeting deadlines, managing the budget, and reviewing and approving documents. It's also necessary for self-direction to have a support broker, and the broker is responsible for facilitating the circle of support, everyone who needs to meet for so similar to the life plan meetings, generating a budget for the services, and to educate on the services, community resources, communicating with all the members of the circle of support, which is the care manager, the person who's self-directing, the broker, their family, and advocates. So the kind of have the way I describe self-direction is like owning a business. You're making a lot of business decisions because it all involves money. It's like an investment.
It is worth noting, I'll just interject as well. Last few episodes that we've had on the EmPower Hour have also been related to FI self-direction. So if you're watching and you want a little more context as well, definitely check out our YouTube or our Facebook where we have our other episodes that relate to FI self-direction. And then you go and talk to Lucia.
Yes. Talk to me last when it comes to self-direction. But no, but seriously, if you do have questions about self-direction, I know the people to talk to about it for sure. So that's good at least. But the FI, or fiscal intermediary in self-direction, is the agency that provides administrative and billing support to the person who's self-directing. So the way I easily explain it to parents is they cut the checks, okay? That's what they do, basically. But among that, they also complete background checks and training for the self-hired staff. They pay the staff, they bill Medicaid, they provide monthly statements, they review documentation for reimbursements, and that's something I'm going to talk about in the next slide too, the reimbursements. So what else could self-direction cover? This is why self-direction is so popular, is because it covers individual directed goods and services, which is like the community classes, the art, music, play therapy, swimming classes, all that fun stuff. And then other than personal services, which could be like phone service, internet, software, staff activity fees, clothing, utilities. It could also cover a live-in caregiver. Again, like it has its rules, but this is just the general overview. It can cover a paid neighbor. It provides a stipend for someone who could be on call for you to assist you, and also family reimbursed respite, meaning a caregiver, like similar to regular respite, but you're kind of choosing how much to pay the person. Like it's capped at $3,000 annually. It's just an alternative to like traditional. Okay, so the enrollment process. If you're interested in enrolling in our programs, let me just briefly describe what enrolling is like. So typically, I would collect documents first from your care manager. And what are those? I have on the slide here. I would typically ask the care manager for a SAR from OPWDD that states approval for enrollment, an updated life plan with our services and the person's goals added, an up-to-date level of care form, and their notice of decision. So the care manager would be responsible for those things and would get them to me. And then after I get the documentation, I would contact the family, schedule a nice intake meeting, also get some consent forms signed. And at the intake meeting, that's when we really get to know the person we're going to support. I ask a lot of questions, even though it's 1 hour, I ask a lot of questions about the person. I want to know everything. And then we talk about the goals for the program, and I'll have staff with me from each program also in the call in the meeting. I do the meetings virtually, so no one has to come see me in person anywhere. And then after that, I make sure everything is ready with the documentation, that it's updated, and I send it to New York State OPWDD for approval. After I get that approval, the person's in, they're ready to start program. That's basically the process. But on the slide here is also my email, lrossi@pccsny.org, and my phone number is on there. But I prefer you email me first, just because I don't answer strange calls unless I get a voicemail. But you can email me any of your questions about enrollments, about the programs. I will explain further. We can learn even more at our future info sessions that we're going to have soon. I don't know if we want to bring that up now.
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
Yeah, so our next info session is going to be the end of May, May 26th at 3 p.m. on Zoom, where I'll be doing this presentation more in depth, and I'll be doing a Q&A, so you can ask me anything.
I think it's really important to take a look at Lucia's info sessions, because I think that that's where, we can hear all the information now, and it seems to be an information overload. But now here you are in this space where you can now ask the questions. You let it kind of absorb a little bit, think about it, mull it over, and say, okay, now I know who the right person is to contact. If you are interested in signing up for the info sessions, registration is on our website at www.pccsny.org/events. So you'll be able to register all through Zoom, which is great. You don't even have to get out of your PJs. We know how much we love that around here. So that's fantastic. Lucia, thank you so much for giving all of that information.
That was a lot, yeah.
That was
Very
a lot of information. You're incredible to be able to know all of that.
I need a drink. Like, I talk a lot.
No, we really appreciate you taking that time and talking about it. So again, for those viewers who are watching, for those families who don't know where to start, who do I talk to? Please talk to Lucia. She's a great person to talk to. We're gonna put her contact information in the comments as well. So please take that moment and email her. Come to an info session, get to know her. So that way, any of your questions, maybe you even have friends and family that might need that information. Be a vital resource to your circle. That would be great. So again, Lucia, thank you so much. That was a mouthful. Everything that you provided us. Thank you. Thank you.
No, I really want to get connected with families and caregivers and parents who want to learn more, because I often hear that parents don't even know about this. They've never heard of it, and I do feel for that, and I'm willing to talk it through on the phone, to describe this whole process, even though it's a lot. I'm here to answer all of your questions. I'm here to help. And even if you don't want the services at PCCS and you just want to know what things are, that's okay too. But I'm here to be your resource to connect you.
Perfect.
Absolutely. And we appreciate that. And we appreciate you. And we appreciate you taking your time out today for our special last episode again of season 2.
Vacation time. What's up?
We definitely saved the best for last, for sure. And yes, Kevin, 100% right. It is now vacation time for us. But that does not mean that we will not be having season 3. So for those who are watching and you want to be involved in one way or another with PCCS's EmPower Hour, please feel free to reach out to myself or Kevin, and we will get you on the show. We will talk with you, kind of come up with some ideas. We're looking for guest hosts. We're looking for new guests, new concepts, anything and everything. Hit us with some ideas, and we would love to work with you. So again, if you're interested for season 3, get in touch with us. With that said, Lucia, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to
I hear from you guys.
Absolutely. Anyone who is watching, please reach out.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We hope you come back soon and we can have some updates on your info sessions. Maybe there'll be some more news to share. We would love that. And for those who are watching, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on upcoming season 3. Have a fantastic vacation, everyone.
Bye, guys.